Here we go. Welcome to Discover Indie Film. I've got Daniel Padulo with me on Zoom. Hey, Daniel.
Motherfucker, it's great to see you, Jeff. It's great.
See, I primed you for it. I love it.
Thanks for having me here.
All right, everybody. I actually told Daniel that, like, normally I'm the first to say motherfucker on this podcast. So there you go. This is why your film is so fucking funny. Because you have an excellent sense of humor. All right, so you are on the podcast because the motherfucking funny film that I just mentioned, A Haunt in Bushwick, was at Sherman Oaks Film Festival in 2025. You took home personally the Filmmakers Award for Outstanding Screenplay of a Comedy Short. And that, by the way, I will just restate it for everyone listening. Our Filmmakers Awards at Sherman Oaks Film Festival, that is decided by the Filmmakers Board, which is a jury of your peers. It's a purely alumni jury. It's active filmmakers. So I think those awards mean even more than like our grand jury awards, because our grand jury awards are decided by the selection people. And like, you know, none of us make movies anymore. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So that's like an award that's your peers going, man, that was a well-written comedic short. So there you go. And I can vouch for it because, as I told you before we started recording, I watched it again this morning, and I've seen it many times, and every time I see it, it is funnier. And that is a magic trick that most comedies can't pull off, right? Because a lot of comedy is based on shock value or surprise. And even though there are surprises in your story, like every element of that story gets funnier. The performances are great. So A Haunt in Bushwick, I highly recommend people watch. And they can watch it someday at various places. But we'll mention Yow.tv. You actually are going to have it on Yow.tv.
That's where it's really going to premiere, yes.
Yeah.
It's going to really premiere Yow.tv. So when we get everything on there, it's going to premiere later in 2026 this year.
Excellent. All right. So, and if and when it's on there, or not if and when it's on there, we'll put a link in the show notes so that anyone who listens to this, it's very funny with like every once in a while I look at the podcast analytics and like every once in a while, like someone in a foreign country will listen to like 500 episodes in a week. And I'm like,
really?
Fuck is happening? So it's always nice to have a link in the show notes. So if someone listens to this, you know, later this year or 4 years from now, whenever, like they can click over and watch your movie. So there we go. That's the purpose. That's the purpose. But we're not just talking about A Haunt in Bushwick. We're talking about you because I run 2 film festivals in LA, and I might as well mention them: Sherman Oaks Film Festival and Film Invasion Los Angeles. And they're both in the top 100 best reviewed list. And the truth is, we wouldn't be there if it weren't for the great filmmakers who submit their films and then become official selections. So the whole purpose of the podcast is to let these, and by the way, I'll go ahead and throw shade out there too, because, you know, we get 800 plus films submitted for every festival and we screen like 60. So I really am so grateful that there's great films for us to show, because believe me, like as a juror, like I'm on the jury and I'll watch, like, I think last weekend or the weekend before that, I saw I'll just be a dick and say it. I went like 2 days without seeing a good film. I probably saw 40, 50 bad ones in one weekend. And, you know, my heart starts to go, what's going to happen at the festival? But then you see some good ones. So I'm just super grateful of the good films and the great filmmakers. So there we go.
Wow, I feel very appreciated.
I am throwing you in that category, sir. All right. So that brings us to the initial question that's going to last us for the next however long we talk, which is, what got you into filmmaking? Were you a creative kid? Did you discover it later? Was it always film and acting? Because by the way, I mean, this is very much, I mean, you wrote, directed, produced. Your performance in it is absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, I got into filmmaking when I really wanted to control. I realized when I really wanted to control what I wanted to be in. You know what I mean? Instead of just going for auditions and fitting someone else's idea of a character, I wanted my own. You know what I mean? I wanted that full control, because what I definitely felt confident about making it was I knew what I wanted. You know,
So
I
you
would
got
say
the acting bug first, you're saying?
Yes, exactly. I got the acting bug first, and I remember when I was a senior in high school, I was like, I'm gonna try an acting class. My asked my mom, and I got in one, and I really liked it. And one day I was sitting down in high school, and I was talking with my guidance counselor. And she was like, if you could be anything tomorrow, no obstacle, or when you grow up, what would you want to be? And I was like, it was fun to be an actor. I was like, okay, yeah, I want to be an actor. And then that's kind of how I got the bug. And then doing auditions, going to college for theater and everything was great. And then I really started getting actually serious with it when I was, when I graduated, and I was just really like, I was writing a little bit, and I was like, I want to make something, I want to be in control. And that's when that, Hunt and Bushwick kind of came to be. And I remember I was working a corporate job when I was writing a Hunt and Bushwick. And I was, occasionally I would write a little bit while I was in my office, you know. But listen, it's the passion. It was bugging me to not think, thinking about it, think
Dude,
about
the
it.
people in the other offices were on Amazon or social media. Like everybody does stuff on there. There's
Right? Come
always
on.
free time
At
at
least I'll do
work.
something productive, right? I mean, there's no way everyone in the other offices were just on. No one's working 8 hours straight on their computer, right? Someone's on
Nobody.
some other website doing something. I just happen to be doing my own thing. And that's where I really wrote it, and or some of it anyway. And that's when I really got into I started making it right then and there. And I got to say, when it was done that last day, we filmed it for 3 days, and when it was done, I remember it was like the greatest feeling I was like, oh my God, I did that, like we're done. We got the last shot. And getting in the car, and I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna sleep for 3 days after this. But I felt so good. And to be honest, I'm still kind of chasing that high. I want to do that again. It's very addicting. I think I want to make another. I already have the next short written. I want to make it. You know what I mean? I want to make it bigger. I want to make it better. So it's something I've been chasing. If I just had millions of dollars, I would make something very big.
I feel you. I feel you. All right, so let me ask. So you got obviously the bachelor's was an acting performance degree,
Yeah, I actually have two bachelors. I have one in theater performance, and I have one in economics. Because
right?
when I went to college, I was like, "Mom, I'm gonna be an actor. I'm gonna do this." Mom was like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa." She was like, "What are you doing?" She was like, there's no safety in that. My son's gonna be safe." She was like, "I will not help you with college." And I was like, "Damn." I was like, "Okay." Instead of I really didn't want to compromise it. I was trying to compromise with her, like, can I do a minor in something else? She was like, no, she's like, I want to make sure that you're, and I was like, all right. So instead of like throwing theater back, I wanted it so bad. I was like, okay, I'll double major. So I got two bachelors. I would go to one class and it'd be a bunch of people talking about cryptocurrency. And I go to another class and be a bunch of people yelling and screaming and talking about, and everyone knows each other and they know the same people, and it's the theater kids. And it was very different. The dichotomy was nuts. The
Yeah.
difference, night and day.
Yeah, and you said you literally wrote the script to have a little more control about it. So when you after you graduated, were you doing the obviously you're living in New York and born and raised there?
Yeah, born and raised. It's pretty lucky that I was able to, growing up in New York, I didn't have to like from somewhere to move here, and you know what I mean, and try to make my way while also holding myself down. You know what I mean? I was able to stay at home when I graduated. So I was very lucky to be able to do that, and from there I utilized that, and I started writing, and actually the first thing I ever wrote, and I one day, was a TV show pilot. We wrote like 3 episodes. We have like 90 pages of script. Each one is 30 pages or 22 pages, I think it was, because we were thinking about commercials and everything. And
Yeah, that was the old
it's
model. It's hard to break away from it, right? I think
yeah,
we're going back to it though, because now when like obviously now we're used to streamers dropping 6 to 10 episodes at once, but it does feel like we're shifting from like now things can be shorter. Like it doesn't have to be an hour,
I
you
feel
know.
like it's attention spans, right? I mean, people, like when someone posts a 5 minute video on YouTube, it might be more difficult to get more views, let's say, than someone who posts 30-second thing. That's why we have brain rot on our phone. You just swipe and you swipe and you swipe and you watch a 6 second video, a 10 second video, you know? So it's easier to just digest that stuff. We all have, including me, just really bad attention spans.
Well, I was gonna ask if after graduating, did you do the audition chase for a bit and
Yes,
that and
a
so it was
lot.
that experience. So you did a lot of that, and that's what also led you to start writing.
Yes, exactly. So I would do, man, a million auditions. I would go on these websites and I would, I wasn't union. I didn't have a manager, so I'm looking up union and manage, you know what I mean? Union jobs and everything that I obviously not ready, they wouldn't take me for. Would find out where the audition is and I would just go and audition and they would just let you audition, you know what I mean? They would just let me. And man, so many of those. And even even stuff that's non-union I would do everything under the sun, and I remember at one point I was like, even the stuff I would get, the small stuff, I was like, man, you know I'd rather just do my I wanted, like, there's something I want to do and I just want to do that. It was like, fuck it, I'm gonna write the
W-
goddamn thing.
Would I be wrong to suggest that you were busting your ass to get roles and things that you would then look at and go, was that worth my time? Like
Yeah,
if you weren't
100%,
in
but
control of the
this
quality,
is, yeah,
right?
but
As an
that's the
actor,
grind.
you can't control the quality. You're just
Oh,
trying to make your performance as good as possible, but you are literally at the mercy of the people who cast you if the thing turns out all right or not.
yeah, that's exactly it, man. So I was like, at least, like, if I do it myself, being a creative, going to college and everything, you make friends, and I made a lot of creative friends, and I was like, I wrote it, and I was like, I went to my friends, and I'm very lucky, they were on board, they saw it, they read it, they were like, oh, this is, there's something we can get behind, this is funny. So I got, and I got a really solid crew and cast, and it worked out, honestly, it just worked out.
I'm going to make another assumption and make another
It's
statement I
assume away,
repeat
man.
too often, which is that you also look, you're a smart person who has a mind for business. You got an econ degree for Pete's sake, and I always say like every film is actually a start. It's a business startup. Like
Yeah.
producing a short or producing an indie short, producing an indie feature, producing anything, it's like starting a business. So you also had the wherewithal to understand how you do that too, right? Like you were probably less, I'm assuming you were more motivated to also make your own work because of your business background and you were like not so intimidated from the idea of
Actually, that's a good point. I never thought about that, but that is a really good point. It did play into that. Wow, dude, I appreciate that. Wow. Yeah, so I actually, when I was budgeting the film, um, I wasn't as far off because I don't know. I just happened to do it okay, I guess. I mean, there were, when making it, when making film, the budget's never, you're never
there's
perfect
no
with
such
it.
thing as
So,
enough.
yeah, exactly. But it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, and when I budget, I put a lot of effort into it, and I was very, uh, it's indie film, so you grab your friends. I was very open with my friends about it. I came to them, I sat them down, and I was like, look, I don't have much. I want to make this film. I think it's gonna be really funny. Do you want to do something? I just laid it down, and they were like, yeah, so you gotta set that expectation, but they're your friends. Those are the people you can do it with, and that's the fun part. So yeah, actually, economics, it actually did help.
Well, look, I know most people do budget, but it sounds like you budgeted a lot more attentively because Lord knows a lot of people start an indie short and I mean, they're just like, "Oh, we'll do it for as little as we can," and they don't even plan much out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then mission creep happens and it gets difficult. So yeah, you clearly approach this intelligently. So there you go.
Yeah, I
So
wrote
everyone
everything
loved
down.
the script who you showed it to. Your excellent cast are people you knew.
Yeah, so the cast, I actually wrote it. So for those of you who haven't seen it, um it's not a large cast. There's only three characters and I'm one of them. So there's only two I had to really cast, and one of them was supposed to be a guy. It's a ghost that's a roommate with it's like kind of a bad shitty roommate, with someone, and that someone was supposed to be a guy, and it's supposed to be kind of a bro movie, where like it's just two dudes, and one of them is just a ghost, and he's like kind of a dick, and the other one is just trying to live his life. But I remember the auditions I got, I didn't like them. It just wasn't cutting it. And then I got one audition from a girl. This woman auditioned, and I was like, was watching it, and I was like, oh shit, like this is, I see something here. The dynamic changes all of a sudden, and I like it a lot. And it just kind of, again, it just kind of worked out that way. One, she gave the best audition objectively, but two, the dynamic between, the guy ghost roommate's dickhead and the woman trying to live alone, it just the dichotomy just it synced well. The relationship was really good,
It
So
it
then the other
really is a
casting was
great
just
dynamic.
friend
Yeah.
of a friend. That's how it is, man.
That's so cool to hear. Yeah, in fact, that's a heck. You just made the great argument for. I keep hearing about people writing characters that are gender neutral so that they can audition both and just see what fits. Because yeah, you got. I assume. Okay, so Sophia's last name is it Sophia Drapeau?
Drapeau, yeah.
Drapeau. That's your co-lead,
Yes.
and fantastic. She is as funny as you are, and right and Sophia had the challenge of playing the straight performer, right?
Yeah.
And that's always impressive to me, the person who is is playing playing the straight part of the duo while being equally funny, right? Like it's easy to be the comic relief, but to be the person they bounce off of and be hilarious yourself is that's I mean that is I understand why casting it was a little tough.
Yeah, she was great.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I liked her a lot. And that's a really, yeah, when she was being the straight man, I was like, when she was performing, especially in the very beginning when she's yelling at at Vincent the ghost because she's tired of seeing him. She can't sleep. He's up at night, keeping her up. And her performance there was really good because you're right, it's easy to be the, I'm the wacky, I make the funny face and I come on and I say the funny line and and it's easy to do that. But like to be that kind of level of entertainment, to have that level, to give that level of entertainment while being the straight man is definitely a challenge. So I thought she did a fantastic job. She changed the whole dynamic of the movie, to be honest. So
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
good.
yeah, and brought out the best out of your script, absolutely, which is great.
She
So
did.
you did do some casting. It wasn't just you. So that's always interesting to learn because also you didn't do. It's not that it's really a cheat, but sometimes when you see an indie short at the festivals, that's hilarious. It's a group of friends and they wrote it for themselves, right?
I
Every
wrote this one for
part, and they
myself.
knew
Yeah.
who was going to play each part, so they
Yeah.
maximized it. So
Yeah.
that I mean that honestly that makes your writing award even more indicative to me because you wrote a part that that was super funny on the page and you actually had to find someone equal to it.
Yeah, and I knew that I liked it when I was writing it. I was just giggling. Well, it was just fun to write it too. I was like, oh, this is stupid as hell, and I was just putting it down on the page.
It's funny because you say that, but I will defend you. I will add the caveat that it takes a lot of brains to write dumb comedy.
Yeah. Okay, fair
Right?
enough.
Right?
Yeah.
Because like, and I say that as someone who was a fan, of tons of sketch comedy. I grew up on the 70s SNL and Kids in the Hall and SETV. And like every dumb comedy has someone really smart behind it, I think.
That's a good point. That's a
You
good
know what I mean?
point.
Because
Yeah.
because if when dumb people make dumb comedy, it's just boring. I guess I'm
Yeah.
being elitist here, but that's all right.
But I know what you mean though. It's relying on a lot of probably shock value, things like that. It's just funny because it's just not, this isn't normal. It's funny. But to make it, let's say more, to make it actually funny with any sort of witty or, it requires a little bit of thought process behind
Yeah, and to have a
telling drama.
believable right? You've got a very believable relationship that is funny and unique. And relationship comedy, I think that is partially another reason why repeated viewings are so good with it, right? Because if it's just one-liners, well, one-liner is good once. But when the comedy is how people are playing off each other, like that's just it gets funnier each time you see it.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's the relation you want to. If the relationship is not believable, then you wouldn't really care about it.
Yeah. And in this case, it's funny. I mean, for sure. And then the date is funny. Everything is funny. And you wrote it. Was it longer when you first wrote it, or was it about this
Yeah.
length?
Oh man, I cut it down. Um, I wrote it so it came out to about 17 pages. And the film is 13 and a half minutes, but because it's comedy, it's moving fast. So I was able to like put down more because it's faster paced. But originally I had about 25 pages, so it actually wasn't that far off. I didn't have to cut off too much fat. It was just the ideas that I had. Like I knew I was writing within constraints here, you know? I just had all these ideas that I wanted to put down, and I wrote down the general ideas. I just knew that I wouldn't be able to actually write that out, you know? But serving the foundation of you know, like me creating the background of the characters and knowing who they are made it easier to write the whole thing in the first place. So it's pretty accurate to it actually. 25 pages, 17 is not that bad. You know, was that eight
Right.
pages down?
And were you, I know you were thinking film the whole way, but needless before we started recording, I was like, I mean, to me it feels like a pilot. To me it feels like the beginning of a much bigger story.
That's the idea. So I wrote it. That I'm so glad you mentioned that. So I wrote that with the idea in mind that this can just be a TV show. You know what I mean? This is just an episode in a TV show. We introduce the characters that are already have an established relationship. You know, we know from the dialogue that they have a history with each other. She's really frustrated. I'm tired of this, you know. So we know that there's history there. And it's, I try to follow the rule of showing, not telling, you know. Like, hey, I've known you for quite a long time. You know what I mean? Things like that. But, I'm glad that you pointed that out. Yeah, it's the idea that it can just be an episode in just a TV show. Because who
Yeah.
knows what you can do with that? Just the idea is you can take that and run with it.
Yeah, and honestly, although you do throw in some nice exposition where you actually do use dialogue to reveal how Vincent appeared,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
sweet. Because I think I missed it. I think I might have missed. I think, well, if I did catch it on previous viewings, I didn't remember. But when I watched it this morning, I'm like, oh, that's why he's there. Like he wasn't there when she moved in.
Yeah.
You can, yeah. So if you ended up, if you got to expand on this sucker, you could have a lot of fun with some flashbacks and
Well,
stuff.
I wrote a pitch deck with it too. So I have like all these, so everything that I couldn't get in the short film, I put everything down that I wanted to put in the pitch. You know what I mean? This is what like, if I had, $1 million, right? You know what I mean? This is what I would do with it, That's my plan. So this is what it would be, with not just a couple of friends making a film together, long run kind of thing. So which is cool because I felt good to get that out, I needed to write it down. I needed to
Yeah.
get it out there. So I did write the pitch deck, which is, more characters, more funny situations, where you can't see or hear the ghost, but she can, and, more on the line, you know what I mean, at a job interview, something like that, and he's messing with her and it's embarrassing because she has to concentrate. Bunch of situations like that. It's just fun. And it's just me, and it's easy because it's me making dumb faces and doing dumb shit. And that's what I kind of do best.
Yeah, but your character, your character actually has depth, yeah, at first kind of classic buffoon comedy. But then Vincent reveals he's got concern for her and
Yeah.
it's actually levels appear, which is so
Yeah.
nice. And
There's a silver
now
lining
you got
there.
a sweet ass proof of concept for it,
Yeah.
for that pitch
Yeah.
deck.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm glad you noticed. Yeah, that's the silver lining I wanted people to notice when watching it. You know what I mean? They're at odds, but without saying it, he kind of does care for. You know what I mean? He doesn't have to say "I care for you." You know what I mean? But by helping him kick out by them agreeing to team up against someone else, it shows that.
But I mean, what can I say? He's I'm laughing at myself for saying, you play a ghost with heart because let's just say if a character got punched in the face, he actually still gives a shit about a human being.
Yeah, yeah, that's very true.
Like he's almost the gentler soul in that.
Yeah.
But it is a sweet situation.
And it was a lot of fun to make. I'm not gonna lie. I think we have about 40 minutes of just bloopers and outtake because it was a lot of just laughing. You know what I mean? Like I was even I got like again I got lucky with my cast and crew. So I was doing a lot of takes and the crew was shouting out ideas and I was like, oh yeah yeah, and I would do it like that. You know what I mean? So like it felt like we were all making the film right then and there. We were all just involved because it wasn't like our sound man Max he was shouting, yo you should try it like this, and I was like yeah let's do it like that, and I would just give it a shot like that, and it was just great. I liked everyone's input. I didn't mind everyone shouting stuff out. It was just because then it just turned into like a fun time. An hour later, and I was like, "Yo, we gotta move on. We gotta move on from this."
I mean, that's how you make a good film. I'm just going to tell a story that I remember reading this very clearly a long time ago. John Cleese of Monty Python, one of the best comedy writers who ever lived, when he wrote A Fish Called Wanda, when they were shooting that film, I remember him doing press for it, and he said, "Look, there was a scene where we're like, the line's not funny enough. Who's got a better line?" And the guy holding the boom mic threw out a line, and he said, "That's funny. We're doing that." Like here, this guy has had like a 20-year career as a comedy writer, maybe even 30 at that point. And he was just like, no, the best idea wins, even if the guy holding the boom mic throws it. Like, so having the crew throw out ideas, that just tells me
I love that movie. Fish
you're,
Call
isn't it
Wanda.
so funny? But
Yeah,
but but you have the same spirit of like, this is collaboration, man. Everyone can, you know,
yeah,
you weren't a precious, wait, these are my words, man. I'm the writer, director, producer of this
yeah.
scene.
Definitely didn't feel like that. And
Yeah.
I think what I did well on set, or what because the environment kind of stems from me, because I wrote it, directed it, produced all this stuff, right? So I was the head of it, but I think what I did well, because when making film, there's always things you could do better, and not everything's perfect. But I think one thing I did well was the environment was good. There was no tension between anyone. I mean, there was a lot of people, and the whole thing takes place in one apartment. There was a lot of people in one apartment doing it, so it's easy to step on each other's toes. We're there for a long time. And it's, we're all confined in a space. If you're not in there, you got to go to the other room. We're doing a bathroom scene. We're also going to use the bathroom. You know what I mean? It was a lot of patience, but I think the environment that we all had with each other, the relationship was good. We were all like just comfortable with each other. We were chatting, you know what I mean? We were just hanging out. It felt like we were hanging out and making a film rather than we were actually working. And I think that's the goal. And that's the high, Jeff, that I gotta chase. I need that again, dude. I need to make it. It's gotta happen again, man. That's what
I
I'm
hear
going
you.
for next.
I hear you. And are you writing ideas out all the time? Or do you have a
Yeah.
little black book of
Yes, I do.
yes.
And what I'm focusing on is the next one, because I have it written, and I have, man, and the more it sits, the more I'm like, oh, what if I did it like this? What if I did it like this? And it's just thinking and thinking, and I could just add more and add more. And I'm funny, or think of a funny scenario. How can I put that in here? And then it almost becomes too much, and you start, just have so many ideas that I want to put out there. So it's just, it's good to just keep working on it. I try to write every single day for 5 minutes at least, kind of like a Duolingo. If you try to, you do 5 minutes on a new language. I try to do that even if it's just like a joke or a line or a situation, I'll just write it down. That's what I was told that is good. And honestly, I found that it helped, because maybe in one day it's not, a significant change. You're not writing it for hours and growing as a writer, but you're writing for 5 minutes a day after 3 months, you don't even, you look down, you see how far you've come, let's say, you know what I mean? You see your progress, so it's good. It's kind of like doing, like I said, Duolingo. You do 5 minutes a day, but after, let's say, a year of doing it, you're much better at what you're practicing.
I got a funny, somewhat related question, which is when you write, are you writing, are you typing it, or are you actually writing by hand?
I'm writing by hand. I have if I have an idea, I'll put it on my, yeah, yeah, I'm glad
No,
you,
I mean the reason I'm giving you a thumbs up on Zoom is that I actually I have a wonderful nephew who is like always sharing. He's in med school, and literally, there's like research showing that like writing by hand is so much better for the creative mind. It's actually better for everyone's brain. Like people who write by hand I think it's something like 5 to 15 minutes a day. It completely, honestly, it kind of counteracts the doom scroll of social media. Like it literally,
really.
it is like going to the gym for your brain. There's something about writing by hand, so much so that one of my New Year's resolutions is at some point I'm going to start. I don't do it because I gotta I'm fucking super glued to a keyboard, but I've got to break out of that. I got to break out of that. Even if you're just like journaling for 5 minutes, they say like it completely improves your brain and your attention span and your happiness.
Interesting.
So
I
I'm not surprised that you're writing
Someone
by
told me
hand.
that. Someone told me that, but I wasn't sure if it was true. But if everyone seems to be saying this, and maybe it is, maybe there's some truth behind it, you know?
Well, and this is a dude who's very scientific and literally doing like research on like stem cells in zero gravity because he wants to end yeah, like smart kid. So,
Smart motherfucker.
I kind of trust it. I kind of trust it. It's not just like whatever. It's not just a meme like, hey,
I'm
I
gonna
heard.
trust it because it benefits me, so I trust it. I trust it.
Exactly. Yeah, we can have our confirmation bias too, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, so that's cool. So, and you were talking about the stuff you write, and then basically at some point you think it'll just call out to you like, I am ready, like shoot me, or do you already have the next one? Or
So I have the next one written, and I have two drafts of it. I have two versions of it, a longer and a shorter one. And then again, all these ideas that I'm just sitting on. But this one, I want to make it bigger and better. And the Haunt in Bushwick I made, all for me and my friends. This one is going to be, it's hard to just keep funding that yourself, So this one, it's going to be a slower burn, but it's still going to be something. And actually, it's funny you say that about writing. Going back, something popped up. I took a comedy seller class, and one thing they told us to do is everything that you write down, it has to be by hand. That's what our teacher, they were like, when you write it down, they were like, I mean, they're not gonna check your homework, right? But like, you can write it down on your computer, but they really recommended writing it down in a notebook. They were like, write it down. So like, they recommended saying it, whatever joke you make, you say it on your phone, then you write it down. And honestly, when I was doing shows, stand-up comedy, I was writing everything out, my whole set. And I was, so I never forgot anything on stage because I wrote everything out. So I think that I really do think there is something to it. I never really put it together. I was like, okay, sure, whatever, okay, I'll do it. But I really do. I think you're absolutely correct about that. So, dude, you got to start doing it, man. You
it's not
got to
me.
start.
I'm just quoting someone I trust. And here. Well, maybe 6 months from now, I'll be on this podcast talking to someone else going, by the way, I started writing by hand and I'm 3 months in. I just write, by the way, my goal is to get on an exercise bike and then write by hand while I'm on the exercise bike so I can squeeze in a little extra health, right? Mental
Nice.
and physical health at the same time. But so that's and here we are in almost at the end of the second month of the year, and I haven't started yet. But hopefully, I'll start, and then I can say, "Oh yeah, I'm like way better now that I write by hand." But for now, I just know that someone did some research.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I didn't mean to go back, but it popped in my head, so I completely agree. So I'm gonna keep that for myself too, to just keep I
Keep
just
doing
just
what
keep
you're
writing
doing,
my
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And also, heck, for all I know, and here I am throwing out a tangent theory. You know, 10, 15 years ago, if you were sitting at Starbucks with a laptop, the internet wasn't shit. Like you were still focused on what you're writing, but now if you're at a keyboard, you've got the internet. Like there's no way to escape the internet. And how do you actually stay productive and focused
It's too
if
easy not to, right?
it's just too easy if you get notifications that like an email showed up. Oh, well, I'll answer that email real quick and then I'll go back to
Yeah,
what I'm doing. Like, yeah, it just kills your focus.
I've
That's the
dealt with
thing.
that. Yeah.
Probably maybe writing by hand just frees us of the web, of the doom scroll. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I had to stop working on my I play video games, and I would like play on my PC, or I would like write on my PC, and I'm like, oh, I'll take a little break, and then I'm just playing, and it's like 3 hours later, I'm like, oh shit, dude, it's over. The day's like gone or something, So I had to stop playing I had to stop doing work on my PC. So yeah, I think you're right. It does make a difference.
I hear you. I hear
Yeah.
you. It's very hard. It's honestly the internet, it's kind of like we're all crackheads and the internet is just a crack pipe on the table in front of us.
Yeah, I'm addicted.
It's
I doom
hard not to
scroll
pick it
every
up.
night before I sleep. I go on, I just look at funny memes. Probably
Yeah.
not healthy, but that's what I do every I do every night.
Oh
But
man.
yeah, dude, for the next film, it is written. I do jujitsu, right? And I think jujitsu is really funny because it's becoming more and more popular. But it's funny because it's such a lot of like gym bros, like guys do it, but it's such a funny sport because you're in these really hilarious, compromising positions. And I just think it's so funny because people, like they talk all the shit about jujitsu, like I can beat the shit out of somebody, and then they like invert and their like butts in the air and their heads on the floor, and it's, what I mean, like, yo, come at me, dude. And I think it's absolutely hilarious, and because it's becoming more of like a big thing, I wanted to, I want to, show some love for it I wrote a comedy short with it, and I just think it's hilarious. So, that's definitely the next one I want to do, man. It's gotta get out. Jeff,
Oh,
I gotta
nice.
get the
Very
high
cool.
again. I
Right,
gotta
right.
keep
So
moving.
now so now it's a slightly bigger project because you definitely have to have a gym. You have to have a you have to yeah, that's not one that you can just use I mean, I don't know if you said you shot a haunt in Bushwick in 3 days. I don't know if it was your apartment or a
It's a friend's
friend's
apartment. I was
friend's
like, "Hey,
apartment.
man, give you $300. Can I use your apartment?" And he was like, "Fine." And I was like, "Great."
Was that because that apartment just suited better?
Yes, it just
Yeah.
suited better.
Because you
Yep.
needed windows, you needed this, you needed that, you need
And it was
space.
easy because my friend, he lives alone. So, he was like, yeah, I don't have to worry about other people being there, whatever. So it just worked out. I just honestly, the best thing here is you abuse your friends. You use your friends and you abuse your friends.
Well, I'm sure you did not scratch up the walls and wreck the floors and
Well,
oh shit, you scratched the wall. You threw a book. No, I can't.
dude, I know, right? Listen, he gave us the pile. He's like, these are the pile of books. I don't give a shit what you do with these. And I was like, great. And I'm just throwing books for for the camera. But there was our lighting guy. We put some tape on the wall to put a light up. He took it out, ripped some of the paint off, and I went, oh. And I just told my friend about it. I was like, yo, dude, there's a little hole in your wall, man. I felt so
Yeah.
bad. But it's
Well,
okay. We got square on that,
I assume New York landlords are just like LA landlords, and you don't
Yes.
get your security deposit back anyway.
No.
You, I've handed so many pristine apartments back, and then you still get a bill for all the repairs they did, and you're like, dude, that was there's this is all bullshit. But yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
no, so you didn't harm him too much.
No, it wasn't too bad. I mean, for like a bunch of people being in the apartment, wasn't too bad. That was definitely one of the things I was like, I mean, it was very stressful, right? Because I'm wearing all these hats, and one of the things one of the hats I was wearing was, not destroying the place. Bunch of people sitting around, we're acting and we're jumping around and everything, and I was just making sure I was like, okay, guys, no. I even had a no shoes rule. Everyone took their shoes off because my friend, he doesn't like shoes, and I made everyone. I didn't care. I was like, I told everyone in an email, I was like, make sure your feet don't stink. Come in because we're all going to be in this apartment for a while. No shoe. So it worked out. I think as long as you communicate properly, it'll be fine. And everyone was cool with it. It's like being in someone's house. I mean, it literally is, but it's like being at your friend's house.
Yeah, no, and you want to show respect because here you are, your friend is, for a nominal fee, like helping you realize a dream.
It's a deal, man. For 3 days, man, that's, we just use whole apartment. He came home, he's very introverted. He came home, he was so stressed out because he saw, the scene that my actress, she was in the bed. When she wakes up when the ghost is bothering her, and he comes home and he sees her, and then he goes, "Oh my God, there's a fucking person in my bed." He's this introvert. His like introvert brain was like, "I'm was having a meltdown. There's like so many people in my apartment." And I was like, and I saw it happening. I was like, "Dude, I just want to say thank you so much for letting us be here." It's okay. I got him food. I took care of him after. I took, I was like, "You're the man." Gave him a little special credit, so he was okay. We're still friends to this day. He's
Excellent, excellent. And since he doesn't own a jujitsu gym, he doesn't have to worry about you coming back to him for the next one.
Yeah, actually, he's better at me in jujitsu, so he probably could, if he wanted to.
Hey, you can make him an extra in the next one or something. You can,
Yeah,
although it sounds
definitely.
like that would be his word. He's like, "What do you mean you want me to be on camera?"
Yeah, he
If he's
definitely
an
wouldn't want to.
introvert, he ain't about
100%
it.
would not want to be.
For sure.
100%.
Very cool. That's actually man, I'm looking forward to I'll cross my fingers that the jujitsu one gets made because I gotta admit that I'm also from that generation. I remember the very first UFC one where it was like really pure and it was like here's a kickboxer versus
Yeah,
jujitsu versus a
yeah.
standard boxer versus like it was every versus a
It was
straight judo.
wild.
It was like straight. We finally got to see straight disciplines. What happens in a street fight, so to
Yeah,
speak,
yeah, it was
and it
dope.
turned out everyone who thought they were tough lost to those Brazilian jiu-jitsu guys.
Yeah, it's a good yeah, it's a good sport. Yeah. And when I do make it, I'm gonna put in I'll apply it to the Sherman Oaks Film Festival and hopefully it's good enough to get in. It's a Sherman Oaks is a I'll be honest, it's definitely, going through I went through a lot of festivals. This festival run was big. And I will be, Sherman Oaks Film Festival was actually probably the best one.
Wow, thank you.
Yeah, because
Well,
it was very, I mean, the interviews, everything was honestly, and the fact that it wasn't just, a million shorts, just one after another, to the point where like there's no one left in the theater and there's just more playing, and you know what I mean? It's a very well run festival, I got to tell you.
thank you. Yeah, well, I mean, our t-shirt says the festival that gives a shit. And, like we don't show 9 to 12 shorts and then just line up all the directors for like a firing squad. Like you get to answer one question each. Like we show 3 to 5 shorts, but normally 3 or 4 shorts in a block. And then we discuss each film for 50. Each film gets its own Q&A, like just to itself, and because we care, in the
Yeah,
end,
it's
in the
good.
end,
Honestly,
we
it's
care.
really good. And I remember coming out to LA for it, and I was just thinking, like, man, I really hope this is not like, I hope I'm not doing this for no reason. And I was very, very glad. And it made the experience a lot better,
Yeah,
because my
yeah, and
first
you
time in
you made
LA.
it out.
It
You
was
were
cool.
you were one of those filmmakers. You came out. You were at our opening night gala. I remember meeting you there, and yeah, yeah, it was great. It was great to have you, and believe me, it's much appreciated. And I'm gonna throw in that we were your LA premiere.
Yes, 100%.
That's in my notes that we got. Which Lord knows, I'm if someone's a regular listener of the podcast, instead of just listening for you, they're going to be really sick of hearing me say it. But like, I know that no, it's not like when you finish the film, you said, okay, I'm going to plan my LA premiere. It will be at Sherman Oaks first weekend of December. But, it's always fun. It's always fun to like
This
take
is one I
credit.
would plan for.
Yeah.
This is
Well,
one I
there
would
you
plan.
go.
I like this one a lot.
There you go. Much appreciated. I always joke that we're an experiment. Can you succeed doing things the right way? Because I certainly understand why other festivals, show 12 shorts at once and skip the Q&A thing. Because they're just trying to make a buck, and that's how capitalism works, and that's
Yeah,
that's
and so many
smart.
festivals you go to, and you're blatantly like, oh man, this is obviously just that.
Yeah,
And
it's just a cash grab. Yeah.
yeah, 100%. And I'm like, yeah, all right, I get it. You know what I mean? You got to do what you got to do, I guess,
Right.
and
Right.
like they'll put a little speech and they'll just leave and everything will play and that's it. Yeah, that's it. It's the whole thing. So this was actually, I
Yeah.
was very pleasantly surprised. I'm
Well, and
very
you
happy I
sit
went.
down and you watch 10, 12 shorts in a row, and there's a great one, and then a shitty, and then a shitty, and then an okay one, and then a great one, then a shitty, shitty, and you're like, my film just played in a block with like a bunch of crap. And that doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
Whereas we have our, you know, we have look, you're actually one of the examples. I don't know if you got an email from me before the festival where like you said you were coming and I'm like you're rewarding. We always call it rewarding the idealism, like the team and I like, because let's say I mean, there are actually situations where we get a submission and it's from someone who like we shot around the block from your venue and we had a cast of 25 people and we want to pack the house and bring everybody we know and the film's just not good. And it's like and then we say, "Here's this film from Brooklyn. It's fucking hilarious and all the jurors loved it. We're putting it in the festival and we don't even know if that filmmaker will be able to fly out, like we could just be showing, and not that it shows it in vain if no one's there, but we know it's not. We know that other film is going to sell tickets, but our attitude is we want every person who comes to our festival never sees a bad film, and that's the reputation we want. And we're gambling that over time, that'll pay off, and it
Yeah.
has, right? We're about to do year 11, so something's working.
Yeah, I mean, you're doing something right. I say keep going, man. Yeah, and it was the opening night gala. The lot, you couldn't like network a lot. I made some friends over there. I hung out with some people. I tried In-N-Out Burger for the first time. We were like hanging out. It was awesome. I'm not gonna lie, it was a very good experience. So it was dope. So that's why,
I'm glad.
I appreciated it. Yeah. So the next one, hopefully, will be part of SOFF.
And you're thinking. Well, you're not sure when, right? Because this one,
Oh, buddy, it's early, so
it's very early,
yeah.
very
We'll see when
early, and
someone wants to give me a bunch of money to make it. So we'll
And
figure it out. We'll get it going. It's gonna be a slow burn, but I'm very excited because it's gonna be done. It's gotta be done right. One thing I didn't want to do and don't ever want to do is cut corners, because you don't want to just I don't want to just make it. It's got to be made, well. And one thing I feel like I did well with The Hunt in Bushwick was when I made it. That's why I filmed it in one location and I got my friends and I knew within those constraints we could make something, I didn't have to
yeah,
cut corners
absolutely.
too much. So it
And
just
while
worked.
you're working on the other one, or while you're prepping it and trying to bring it all together, if you get another idea that you can do at a smaller scale and maybe just keep your juices rolling, maybe you will. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. So it's we'll see what happens.
And who knows, maybe some motherfucker will see it on yow.tv and go,
Yeah.
that should be a fucking series. Let's find
Yeah.
out. Heck, I wonder, you know, shit, you should probably squeeze the word pilot into the description somewhere just so if anyone sees it and is like, man, that would be, because I mean, seriously. I
Yeah, I mean,
wish,
it kind of is a pilot for it. It really is, honestly. It's the template for what the show could be.
absolutely, absolutely. Proof of concept. There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else you want to throw in?
I think I'm good, man. I think I just talked for a straight hour, so thanks for letting me yap.
Nah, as always, I spoke a little too much. My wife always says, "You do let them talk, don't you?" And I'm like, I only interrupt you. You're my life partner. I interrupt you. Other people I let talk. But
Fair
hey,
enough, man. No, I had a good time. Thanks for having me.
all right. Well, I'll do our wrap up, and then we can, and then for everyone listening, and then we're going to record a second one where you're just going to answer the 4 questions, as I call them, which is name 3 films you love, an underrated film, an overrated film, and a lesser known film for people to seek out. So that'll be the podcast after this one in the feed. But I will do the wrap up first. Thank you, Daniel. So much, so fun to talk to you after meeting at the festival last December. Everyone should check out A Hunt in Bushwick when it's available. There will be links in the show notes of this podcast. So just go to the show notes and click the links and watch A Hunt in Bushwick. And I will mention, all right, so if you go to discoverindefilm.com, that's for this podcast and things that grow from it. If you go to @DIFWins on social media, that's for this podcast. I personally quit social media a little over a year ago because I needed to, and life has been a little better. But my wonderful podcast producer, Karina, does check the social media. So if you write to us on social media, if you go to @DIFWins on any of the platforms, Karina will see your message. And if I'm needed, she'll tell me, hey, I need help on this one. But anyway, so that's discoverindiefilm.com. If you want to learn about the film festivals that Daniel and I were talking about, go to discoverindiefilm.org. That is the nonprofit that runs Sherman Oaks Film Festival every December and Film Invasion LA that we hold earlier this year. It was very funny. It's always been June, and then there were some shakeups at the theater, and we had to move to August for this year. It's the first time sharing that publicly because we found out last week basically that very. But I can already see a silver lining that August might be better than June because in June we were always up against Father's Day and graduations. So anyway.
Fair enough.
And so go to discoverindiefilm.org to learn more about Sherman Oaks Film Festival and Film Invasion Los Angeles. And by the way, they have a cousin in South America. Film Invasion Lima, Peru was held in January of 2026, and it went fantastic. In fact, I love hearing you say the compliments about Sherman Oaks Film Festival. And I actually got a couple emails from people who were there in Lima saying this was my best festival experience, like of my run in South America. So there you go. We've got cousins in South America running. They're not my cousins, but they are now. So anyway, but so that's Film Invasion Lima. You can learn all about all those if you go to discoverindiefilm.org. So there we go. Daniel, I thank you one last time.
Thank you for having me, Jeff.
And I will thank everyone for listening.